This week's Parsha contains an Aveira, a prohibition, that's repeated throughout the entire Torah. It's not the prohibition to murder, it's not prohibition of idolatry, but it is compared to all these terrible Aveiras. What's the Aveira that's repeated so much that we have in this week's Parsha? The prohibition to charge interest. The pasuk says, "Es kasbecha lo titin lo b'neshech," don't charge interest. Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher hotzeisi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim, because I'm Hashem who took you out of the land of Egypt. What's the connection in this verse between this prohibition that's repeated throughout the Torah to not charge interest and Hashem taking the Jewish people out of Egypt? So if you look in one of the other places in the Torah where it talks about this prohibition, it says, "Lo tashech the nachri tashech," to a Gentile you can charge interest, "Ulachicha lo tashech," but to a Jew, don't charge interest. Now, in fact, this verse has been the source of much persecution throughout the ages. Jewish people were criticized, even killed because of this verse. Look at this, you racists! Jewish people treating Gentiles, charge them interest, and but to your Jewish, to the other Jews, you don't charge interest? You guys are a bunch of racists. And the Jewish people were criticized and persecuted throughout the ages because of this. But if you look carefully at the verse, you'll see something that answers all these questions. The verse says, "Nachri tashech," to a Gentile charge interest, "Ulachicha lo tashech," but to your brother don't charge interest. Imagine your brother comes over to you, he's in a bind, I need some money, can you help me out? You say, no problem, of course, I'll give you an interest. Oh yeah, but I'll give you a loan, but don't forget the 10% interest. You would never charge your brother interest. Over here, the Torah tells us, interest is a normal practice. To any Gentile, any person in the world, you could charge interest. Nothing wrong with charging interest. It's normal business practice. But when another Jew comes over to ask for a loan, you treat him like your brother. Every single Jew, whether you're related to him or not, you treat him like a brother. You realize that he's in need, and you don't even imagine to charge him interest. The Torah is very ambitious over here. The Torah wants to teach us that we have to grow to teach every Jew just like our brother. This is why the Torah connects it to the Exodus from Egypt. The Gemara tells us in Brachos, how is it that the Jews ended up in Egypt? Well, it's a simple story. The brothers sold Yosef. They hated their brother. And he went down to Egypt and the Jewish people followed. The exile and the slavery in Egypt was because of the hatred amongst brothers. And through that communal suffering that the Jewish people had to go through together, they had to realize, we're one family. And they had to learn the lessons to love their brothers. The Torah tells us with this ambitious goal, learn to treat every Jew like your brother. Love every single Jew, whether he's related to you or not, like a brother. That's the goal. Remember, I took you out of Egypt. If you don't treat every Jew like a brother, so then we're going to have to suffer through exiles and persecution until we get the message, until we start learning to treat every single Jew like our brother. We should merit very quickly to learn and be able to love every Jew like a brother and merit redemption from all of our exiles.